Welcome to Modern Domestic's virtual Bernina machine owner class. I'm Erica, and in part 6, I'm going to help you understand your screen. On your 3 series machine, your screen gives you lots of valuable information about your settings. This number indicates the stitch that you're on. So when you turn on your machine, it'll always start with the number 1 stitch, which is your straight stitch. Across the top of the screen, you'll see numbers from 0 to 5.5. This indicates your stitch width in millimeters. Along the right side of the screen, you'll see numbers 0 through 5. This indicates your stitch length in millimeters. Right below stitch width is your needle placement indicator. The larger dot represents where the needle currently is. You can move your needle 4 positions to the left and 4 positions to the right. On the bottom of your screen, you'll see the recommended presser foot for the stitch that you've selected. For the straight stitch, the number 1 foot is best. And lastly, you'll see the needle up, needle down button. The arrow indicates whether the needle will end in the up or down position at the end of every stitch. On your 4, 5, 7, and 8 series machines, you'll find even more information on your screen. At the top of your screen, you'll see a number in millimeters indicating your stitch width. On the upper left side of the screen, you'll see a number also in millimeters indicating your stitch length. At the top of your screen is the needle up, needle down button, which indicates where the needle will be at the end of every stitch. Press the button to change whether the needle is set to end up or down. On the top left is your tension adjustment button. Below that is foot recognition or recommendation. Then you have foot pressure. Then you have stitch plate and needle selection. Next is your feed dog indicator, showing you whether the feed dogs are lowered or raised. And then your bobbin gauge. On the right side of the screen, you'll see the stitch navigation. The top tab has all of your construction stitches, and then below that are all of your decorative stitches. Below that are fonts, and then buttonholes, then your favorites, and lastly, past stitches. Let's take a deeper look at the status bar, which you'll find on the left side of the screen. It starts off with the tension icon. Go ahead and select that. This allows you to adjust the tension by moving the slider up and down, or you can use the plus and minus buttons, or you can use the multifunction knobs on your machine. To clear the tension setting, select the yellow bounded box. It is recommended and not at all uncommon that you would change your needle tension if your top thread is a different weight than your bobbin thread. This will give you the best opportunity for a perfect stitch. You can adjust this by stitch type, and you can even do it on decorative stitches. The next icon is needle security, which gives you the ability to tell the machine you have a double needle or a specialty needle inserted. The stitch plate also comes up, and these icons are grouped on some machines. It's not unlikely that these two would be changed at the same time. The security that's built in is that it limits the width for a particular stitch, helping you prevent broken needles. You also have a needle minder, which allows you to program the type of needle you've inserted into the machine. This is informational only. It doesn't affect how the machine sews, but it is a way for you to remember what type of needle you have in the machine, which can be really handy. You can set by type and by size. The next icon you'll see is presser foot selection or recommendation. You can sew with the presser foot selection set or not. Anytime there's a white number, it means that it's not set. Anytime that you set the presser foot, the number will turn yellow. By setting it with the yellow number, you're allowing securities to go with that foot, which helps prevent you from breaking a needle. So, for example, if the zipper foot was selected and you chose a decorative stitch, you would see that it would not be an appropriate stitch for that particular foot. Even if you went to your straight stitch in the center needle position, you'd see that there would be an issue there too. This would remind you that by moving the needle position, you would be able to sew without striking the presser foot. So when the stitch is white and not red, you have an appropriate stitch setting selected. The presser foot selection does not clear by turning the machine off. It can be cleared by touching the clear button. This will turn the securities features associated with that particular presser foot off. The stars indicate the appropriate presser foot for your selected stitch. So you can see all the feet at once by touching the filter button. Turning off the filter allows all of the presser feet to be displayed, and you can scroll through to see the options. If you want to search for a particular presser foot, use the 0 to 9 search function. To clear the presser foot selection, the presser foot selection window has to be open, and then you would just tap the clear button. It's not necessary to set the presser foot selection for sewing, but it is required in embroidery. Your next icon is going to be presser foot pressure. So when you select that, you can change how hard the presser foot sits on the fabric just by moving the slider up and down, or you can change it with the plus and the minus buttons, or using the multifunction knobs. This will give you more control over your project and the fabric that you're stitching on. Next, you'll see the feed dog indicator, which is going to let you know if the feed dogs are up or down. When that icon is yellow, that means that they're down. When the icon is white, it means that they're up. Some machines will actually give you an animation when you select the feed dog indicator, showing you where to lower the feed dogs. On the 8 series machines, the feed dogs are automatically lowered every time you go into embroidery or you attach the Bernina stitch regulator. But the yellow indicator is always a quick way for you to glance up at the status bar and know exactly which position the feed dogs are in. Your bobbin winding icon is next, and that'll give you an animation on how to wind the bobbin. And you will also see a status displayed of how much thread is left on your bobbin for the machines that provide that status. One of the things you're going to love about your new Bernina is how customizable it is. Start by selecting Setup and then click Sewing Settings. You can turn off the beginning knot just by tapping on the switch. You can program the foot control with your favorite settings. So just select the heart, and then you can set it up to tie a knot, cut the thread, and raise the presser foot. Or you can leave it at its default setting, which is to use the heel to raise and lower the needle. Learn to use the navigation path of breadcrumbs at the top to help you navigate quickly through your settings. This time, we'll take a look at the programmable buttons. You'll see a diagram of what each of these mean. Let's take a look at presser foot up and down. This gives us the ability to set the hover height. The default is 2, but if you desire more or less, you have the ability to set that by clicking the plus or minus. You can program the knot to be either in-place stitches or running stitches. Running stitches are very compact, very close together stitches, which would be perfect for quilting applications. Now let's take a look at the cutter. You can program the cutter so that it not only cuts your thread, but it'll tie a knot first. With the needle down button, you have the ability to have the presser foot stop down, hover, or raise completely up. The default is the presser foot to stop down, but if you're working on a project where you're going to do a lot of pivoting and you'd rather your machine automatically hover for you, go ahead and select the middle option and it'll be quite a time saver for you. Although you can continue to use the breadcrumbs at the top to make your next selection, if you're all done, just select the X and then you're ready to continue on with your sewing. Thanks for watching this video. In part 7, we're going to talk about stitches. See you then!